Hey, howdy ho everyone, Dr. Stephen James here to bring you another video. Today, I'm finally concluding this part of the series with ranking every mission in Chapter 6 from worst to best. A few disclaimers before we get started. For one thing, I'm going to be skimping on the music a little bit for this one because I got my first copyright strike. Yeah, I did not think it would happen before I became eligible for monetization, yet here we are. So, although I usually like to play copyright music, I want to get at least one of these videos eligible for monetization. So, unless I know for a fact that a video is not going to get me a copyright strike or a copyright claim in any way, I will not be including a song. And for another thing, I know it's probably been like at least 6 months since I've done a video for this series, but that's because a lot has come up. That's the short answer. So with all that out of the way, let's get started. Coming in very last place, I have put A Really Big Bastard. Now, to be clear, every mission in this chapter is at least decent. But the reason this gets the bottom is, for one thing, if you want to watch the entire cutscene, good luck trying not to skip. Because the cutscene asked, it's the cutscene Sadie reuniting with the rest of the Marstons, and I use the term Marston loosely because Abigail hasn't taken John's last name yet, obviously. But yeah, there's nothing there's nothing that Sadie tells Abigail that isn't already said, and I'm not going to go on. I don't want to go on an unhinged rant about how much I despise Abigail and her nagging, but yeah, it's just really annoying. Like, come on. She just left him and then turned up out of the blue. And now she's gonna nag him about how he's making a living. I mean, I understand where she's coming from, but I just don't like hearing it. So, but yeah, as I said, I mean, that's only if you want to watch the cutscene. But onto the actual gameplay part. While normally bounty hunting is one of the more thrilling ways of making money in this game, that's just not it. I mean, the reference to Red Dead 1 is pretty cool with the bear, but how the fuck is that thing not dead? Seriously, you put like 6 shots in it, you expect it to at least hightail it away from you. I mean, the bear in the Pursued by a Bruised Ego mission in Chapter 2, that when you put 6 shots in that thing in Deadeye, it backs off. But that's not the case for this bear. And I'm not a big fan of being put in a near-death situation. And I would have forgiven it if, if you actually got to kill it. But no, since Red Dead 2 is a prequel, then it has to live. Again, it's pretty cool reference to the first one, but I just think it's ridiculous. And plus, the bounty you're catching is kind of a wimp. Honestly, I don't blame him necessarily for cowering away from the bear, but he didn't even put up much of a fight. Now, to get into the stuff that I like about it, the dialogue between Sadie and John when you're riding to and from, to the bounty and on the way to the Blackwater jailhouse, it's pretty good, I guess. And the part where you get to shoot something that dies, like the 3 newbie bounty hunters, it's okay, but just know that the reason this is the bottom has nothing to do with how bad this mission is, so much as it's about how good the others are. Of course, I can't necessarily say the same for number 10, which I'll get into in a moment. I could have easily flipped 10 and 11 around. It wouldn't make a difference. Anyway, coming in at the number 10 spot, I have Trying Again. I feel like this one shouldn't take me too long to talk about, because it's literally you as John just taking a slow, leisurely walk with Jack, talking about life and, their new life specifically. And, honestly, Jack is one of my least favorite characters, so of course this would be toward the bottom. But the reason why it's not at the very bottom is for a few small reasons. For one, it's nice to have some fish that you can carry out through free mode, and sometimes if you time your fish, if you do your fisherman challenge at the in the proper orders, you can also complete a few of them while doing this. So also, I guess the dialogue is kind of nice, but I'm usually glad when it's over. You also save the new dog, whom, by the way, they did not consent to getting a new pet. I actually wonder, anyone else ever wondered what happened to Rufus after John and Abigail died? I don't know. I feel like that's an unanswered question that I really want an answer to. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. But someone make a theory video about that. I'm really curious. But anyway, getting back on topic, Rufus gets bitten by a snake. And honestly, the dialogue between father and son can be a bit awkward at times. Like how John says, "I'm not good at this, at talking to you." So, yeah, once Rufus gets bit by a snake, Jack's just being a little bitch. Like, I know, like, the way I'm talking about this, I feel like maybe this mission should be at the very bottom, but honestly, I just wanted to take the opportunity to shit on Abigail. I don't know. But, honestly, I guess the reason why it's not at the bottom is just the way I'm currently feeling right at this moment. Like, if I were to load up my game and replay one of the 2 missions I've talked about so far, I think it would have to be this one. If I'm being honest, both, I guess it boils down to the length of each mission. This one, the last one takes a while to do. This one, you can usually get done within 10 minutes or so. So, yeah, there's again, I don't think I need to talk about this any further, so let's move on to number 9. Oh, that's right, I completely forgot about the smart-ass comments from Jack. Those are pretty amusing, not gonna lie. Coming in at number 9, I have Home Improvement for Beginners. Not really much to say about this one either. I've got Uncle annoying the hell out of me, and you tear down the shack on the land that I bought, which is the best part of the mission and is what takes it above the other two, but just barely. At least you get to tear something down, you know? But yeah, I don't think I need to talk about this one much further. It's fun, it's short, not really much meat on the bone, so yeah, we got a lot to cover still, so let's keep going. Okay, well now we're starting to get into the good mission, the really good missions. At number 8, we have An Honest Day's Labor. Now, I'll be honest, I have a hot take. I'm not as big a fan of these Sadie Adler bounty hunting missions as you might think. I mean, sure, for the epilogue part 1, I did put the one where we see her for the first time since the end of the main story at number 1, but obviously if you've seen the competition for the Pronghorn Ranch part of the epilogue, you realize the competition ain't too fierce. So, yeah, but yeah, anyway, this is still a good mission. Like, for instance, it's the only mission in the game that takes us to New Austin. I mean, of course, you could get there anytime in free mode willingly. I mean, in the epilogue, of course, but this is the only time in which the game actually takes you there like it's supposed to happen. So it's a bit of a nostalgia boner there in that regard, but it's not the only thing this mission has going for it. Well, for one thing, it's, you know, pretty satisfying shooting NPCs with a bow, or throwing knives if you prefer. I always just use a bow and arrow, but it's a matter of personal preference. And then using a repeater when your cover is inevitably blown. I mean, honestly, I just want to say that repeaters are probably my favorite type of gun, a primary gun in this game. Although I like the graphics that happen when you use Gatling guns and shotguns, but shotguns aren't really my cup of tea, and Gatling guns are considered specialist weapons. No one ever mentions Gatling guns in when they rank weapons in these Red Dead games. So, can you really blame me for not including them as my favorite? But yeah, getting off topic. So, the reason why this one is at the bottom is because, again, I mean, it's just another generic bounty hunting mission. It's, I mean, it's fun, but not really much else to say about that. Oh, and, yeah, Abigail, I mean, not Abigail, John also mentions to Sadie about what's been happening, how he reunited with Uncle and Charles, especially Charles. I mean, I always play the first mission in the epilogue with Sadie, whatever it was called, before speaking to the bank teller in Blackwater, but if I did it, I mean, if I ever spoke to the bank teller before, and I do wonder if Angola would have been mentioned. Probably not. Whatever. So, I think that's all I have to say about this mission. So, yeah, moving on. Coming into the number 7 spot, I have the toolbox. Now, to be clear, this is a very fun mission, but the reason why I have it so low is because of some annoying, well, primarily because of some annoying character that you're wagon pooling with, whatever the proper terminology is, riding the wagon with. Yeah, he keeps chewing your ear off the entire time, and honestly, he talks to me as someone who clearly has no idea about me. As know anything about John, I mean, not me, but yeah, he clearly has no idea the kind of life John lived. I mean, honestly, the guy you're sitting next to, he actually seems kind of cocky. And yeah, he just keeps talking about how good he is at his job and how he's in good hands. So and boy, did he get humbled fast. He was literally the first person to get shot, get dragged, and then die in a brutal way. Which, I mean, is actually just a little bit heartbreaking. I mean, there is a bit of remorse on every side, as annoying as he was. It's weird. But, yeah, so, we are officially introduced to the Skinner brothers. Of course, you're very likely to meet them in your encounters during you're very likely to encounter them during free roam, but in terms of the story, this is the very first time we see them. I think up until that point, the cool thing about the Skinner brothers is that they're a bit of an ambiguity. Like, a lot of the encounters coded into the game, they don't really involve the Skinners. You know, it's mostly it's mostly just what they leave behind that's on display. Encounters like a trail of bodies from the road to random NPC's campsite, and at the campsite there's one guy who is barely left alive. Like, his scalp is completely gone and he's covered in blood. I'll spare you the gory details further from there, but I think you hear what I'm saying. And another possible encounter is you could be riding along the road in Great Plains, and then some dead NPC rolls by on a horse with arrows in his back. And another encounter similar to that, only it's a wagon with 2 dead NPCs there as well. But yeah, anyway, in canon, except for other random encounters and some bounty missions that you do in free roam, this is the first time that they're on display and in full force. They come at you pretty hard. And as Charles says, they don't usually put up as much of a fight. But, I mean, they clearly do in this case. But it's never really explained why. But yeah, it's after you get the toolbox back and what's left of the guy who I was annoyed with, we ride the wagon with Charles, and he gives us the exposition on the Skinners. And yeah, if you don't ride along too fast and you get to hear the whole dialogue, it's pretty engaging. But I'm usually going too fast to hear the entire dialogue, but it's nice while it lasts. Oh, and also, Manzanita Post is also reintroduced. I mean, sort of. The lore of the Manzanita Post in this game is also pretty engaging. I would recommend finding other videos on that topic. But yeah, we meet the Norwegians because we're getting the toolboxes from them. I'm not really sure why we had to go so far out of our way over a measly toolbox, but whatever. Yeah, just I feel like there was a place in Blackwater we could have gone to get that stuff. But again, whatever. It's again, it's a pretty cool mission. And to tell you the truth, I could have put this one in 6th place, but I really didn't want to have to rank 2 Sadie Adler bounty missions in a row this early in the video. So coming in at number 6, I have a quick favor for an old friend. Sorry I fumbled on that. I was trying to read the title in the corner of the screen. Yeah, this this mission isn't bad. It's not top 5. We are now halfway through this ranking, and I was surprised. I mean, I never really realized before making this video how long this mission is. They could have easily broken it down into 3 missions, and it would still be a long one. So, yeah. So, to start with, as you can see on screen, we are speaking with Uncle, or rather yelling at him for being lazy. And honestly, after the mission Uncle's Bad Day, and you see him working on the ranch, it's tough to hear anyone talk to Uncle about being lazy, TBH. And it almost makes me feel bad for him. But yeah, anyway, after yelling at Uncle, we ride together back to Valentine to speak to the foreman about building a barn for livestock. And that's another thing I want to say. Red Dead Online. Oh man, I mean, can you imagine how cool it would be if you could, if there was like some sequence of missions in which you could like build your own homestead. I mean, you get to pick from the catalog in the game which house design you want, pick the location. There would be like a series of missions where bandits or whatever are trying to keep you from doing the work. I think, you can, in the story mode, you can encounter scenarios like that in game. I don't think it would be terribly difficult to code into this game, but unfortunately Rockstar doesn't really give a fuck about Red Dead anymore. It's a tragedy. But yeah, it was an idea that I had while making this video that I thought I'd throw your way. Because, I mean, one of the many complaints people had about Red Dead Online is that, one of many, is that you couldn't buy houses like you could in, GTA Online. And I think that's partly why people are so underwhelmed by Red Dead Online, is because its predecessor GTA Online set the standard for great open world online gameplay, and of course Red Dead Online just did not meet that quota. So yeah, I think we all were looking forward to doing things like building houses. I mean, there's moonshine distilleries now as one of the latest expansions. Again, it wouldn't be terribly hard to do. But yeah. Anyway, after speaking to the guy at the lumberyard, we find out that we don't really have enough money, so we then speak to the bank teller within the same cutscene that we need a loan. And as luck would have it, Sadie turns up in town as we're strolling along the streets of Blackwater with Uncle, contemplating what to do. And from there, again, this is where the mission could have been broken down a second time. We go with Sadie to a bounty hunter to yet another bounty, and this one's a little higher because well, we'll get into that, but for one thing, it's at the same place where Arthur had to collect debt from one of the three debtors, and the Rubles guy, however you say his name, who hardly spoke any English when we confronted him as Arthur. 8 years later, there is a secret cutscene if you follow Sadie into the house. It's the same guy, only he's way more fluent in English, and I think that's some pretty cool world building. Just little details like that make Red Dead Redemption so good. But yeah, anyway, you speak to the confront, once you get the bounty, the Del Lobo who's hiding in the barn, which and you go straight to Rhodes, which is quite a long horse ride, but fortunately it's in a cutscene, so you don't really have to suffer through it too long. You just have to enjoy some cinematic shots and then we officially meet Sheriff Thomas in Rhodes, and we wait a really, really long time for the prison wagon to come. But before the prison wagon comes, we're met with the Del Lobos, who's looking to set him free, and then we but then they break him free, and then we have to get him again, who's about to, when he's after taking out a bunch of his guys. And by the way, by this point, this is where the mission break can start in the third part. But no, again, it's all one big long mission. And yeah, once we take out a bunch of his guys at the camp, we stop him from fleeing in a boat. After shooting a few holes in it, he gives up and turns back around. And then some dialogue ensues when we get him, as we're getting him back to Rhodes, and then the mission is finally over. Overall, it's a pretty fun and, dare I say, repetitive mission. But the reason why it's not in the top 5 is, as I've said, it's way too long for me. And heck, when I was obtaining the footage, it was in a 40-minute and 44-second clip, and I thought, okay, yeah, I was looking at the length of that clip, and I was like, okay, yeah, there has to be this has to be part of like a there has to be like at least 4 missions in this clip. It's so long, but nope. It's one mission, which is the mission that comes before this one, which is a New Jerusalem, and then this one, and then this one. So yeah, it's not just the title that's long and forgettable. I mean, not only that, but it's ironic. The title, it's ironic because there's nothing quick about it, nada. But yeah, so it's very amusing stuff. So I think it's actually taken me like, I won't know till I finish editing, but I think it's taken me like 13 minutes to explain this. Of course, I did get off the rails a bit talking about Red Dead Online, but still, let's I think I said all I needed to say. Let's move on to number 5. Coming in at the number 5 spot, we have another mission where Uncle gets yelled at for being lazy, and it is a new future imagined. Yeah, you had to figure this one was going to be in the top 5 somewhere. And to tell you the truth, I've been thinking about it, and numbers 3, 4, and 5 could be ranked either way. I mean, if I had like 6 days, I bet I could come up with the correct answer for what goes where, but I don't really have that luxury. So if any of you disagree with my 5, 4, and 3rd placements, just know that just know that it could go either way for me right now. But yeah, anyway, this is the one where we finally get some furniture in the house. Get to see the Pronghorn Ranch family one last time, and it's quite wholesome. And that is the entire theme of this mission. It's wholesome. Well, except for the first except for the first 20 seconds of the mission, but that's behind us. So yeah, as John has explained to Sadie, he wants to propose to Abigail, and I must say he does a great job of doing it. And so they ride off into Blackwater. Abigail thinks they're just going to run some errands, but instead they go to the photo booth, which and the photo you take is interchangeable for and so, you know, once you do that, the photo can be seen hanging over the fireplace at Beechers Hope. Well, one of them. I'm obviously talking about the one in the living room. But so yeah, after that, John takes Abigail to see a moving picture show for the first time. So cute. And so yeah, after all that, John takes Abigail to the river, and quite possibly the funniest line of dialogue of the mission is stated. Quite possibly the funniest line not from a playable character not to be said by Arthur. And you know, Abigail said when Abigail finds out that John is gonna take her to the water, she says, "Why, you're gonna drown yourself?" And John says, "Well, in a matter of speaking, I guess I am." So yeah, I mean, it's just with the music score and the cinematic shots, you know, whether it be John while waiting for Abigail to get back from her errands, to he pulls out the photo of Arthur and Mary and gets the ring out as the music score plays. It's, you know, it's truly heartwarming. And so yeah, I mean, I think the footage really speaks for itself as to why this this mission is like so good. I mean, it's not pulse-pounding exciting, but that's why people love Red Dead. It's more than just an action game. It's like a cinematic masterpiece. It makes you feel stuff. And that's like the whole point of this mission. So bear that in mind when I get to my number 4 ranking coming up right now. And at number 4, thematically similar, but I kind of feel like is better, is A New Jerusalem. So, honestly, this mission, the premise, should not work in an action game. Yet, somehow it does. The entire mission, you're just building a house. That's it. But, yet, somehow it cracks the top 5 for one of the best missions in the game. And the reason for that is, well, similar to A New Future Imagined, it's wholesome. I mean, I can't really explain why this one is so good. I mean, I'm sure it has something to do with the song that plays in the background, the house building theme. In fact, I think it has largely to do with that. But also because it's a little more symbolic. You know, the blue jay that you can clearly see sitting on the foundation of the house is ever present, and the reason for that is it turns out blue jays are actually a a symbol of change, as it turns out. So, I mean, honestly, I don't really think I need to explain this, and honestly, there isn't really much to say. But if you've played the mission, you get it. So, let's move on to number 3, which again could be interchanged with the previous 2 that I mentioned, including this one. Coming into the number 3 spot, I have put Uncle's Bad Day. So, obviously I put this one ahead of the other 2 because, unlike the other 2, it actually has action. Yeah, so what happens is after the 3 friends get drunk together celebrating a successful complete construction of the barn, after getting drunk, the Skinner brothers, who I mentioned earlier, they went to take vengeance on us for killing a bunch of their guys. Granted, it was in self-defense, but honestly, they don't need a reason. But you could tell from listening to some of them. You could tell from listening to some of them what they're saying about how they knew us personally. It's that this was clearly personal to them. So yeah, Uncle is being cooked alive at their camp, and we have to kill a bunch of them and set them free. I was actually initially reluctant to put this ahead of the other 2 because I felt like it kind of lacked the heart and soul that the other missions had, but you know, then I realized I would say the beginning of this mission did have heart and soul. You know, just 3 friends getting drunk together and just fooling around. Not like that. Get your heads out of the gutter. So yeah, they get together, and the suspense was pretty good. Charles wasn't really sure that John was, that Uncle was gonna make it, cause honestly, I don't really blame him. Because essentially what the Skinner brothers are is if the Japanese Empire from the 1940s were a tribe of angry hillbillies, and that is essentially the level of evil that goes on with the Skinner brothers. So I don't really think that I don't really blame him for thinking that it was gonna be worse than Uncle could recover from, but luckily for him that wasn't the case. So yeah. Oh, and this is actually technically 2 missions. I was honestly reluctant to include it because it wasn't listed in the thumbnail, but the other mission is the Best of Women. But I'm actually getting ahead of myself. Yeah, I've maybe only seen the final cutscene after we bring Uncle back to the house. Maybe a couple times at most, but I'll be honest, I kind of wish I watched it more often, because the dialogue, as usual, between Charles and John is pretty entertaining. I wish I could remember what was said for the context in the video, but trust me when I say it was pretty good. So yeah, after that, we can tell from all the various shots that time goes by before John's family finally shows up. I mean, where the heck were they, honestly? Like, I know it's supposed to be a touching and beautiful moment, but honestly, I gotta wonder what they've been up to. Because I know what John's been up to. He's been doing the only thing he really knows how to do, which is kill and put his life on the line time and time again, all for someone who abandoned him. That's the way I see it. I mean, granted, granted, I don't mean to like see Abigail as the bad guy, because I mean, to be fair, she did give John a lot of chances, but you gotta cut the guy some slack, Abigail. Just doing what he needs to do to provide. So yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, the mission is great, but the undisputed goats of part 2 of the epilogue are coming up, so brace yourselves. Number 2, I have bare knuckle friendships. So, once again, met with a cutscene of Uncle being lazy. We are followed by a cinematic but brief cutscene of us riding a train. And I'll be honest, I haven't ridden a train in free roam the very first time I played this, so for me, this was for my first playthrough, this was something very new to me. It's a little weird, but yeah, anyway, we get dropped off at the Saint Denis train station, which I have to say, for once, actually dropped me off at a very convenient location. Because I don't know if you know this, but whenever you take a train in Red Dead Redemption 2 in free roam, your horse tends to follow you, and it follows the train very closely. And when in free roam, where it usually stops, it traps the horse and yourself in very tight corners. You're like between tracks, between the train that was carrying you and a train of cars that is in another siding. And you have to try to avoid getting hit by the train when it finally departs. And you'd be lucky to be able to move before it leaves, because you can't. That is why when I'm in free roam, I don't normally take the train. When it comes to taking the train to Saint Denis, I don't really do it. Any other location is fine, but for when it comes to Saint Denis, it's more trouble than it's worth. But anyway, getting back to talking about the mission, as if you're watching this video, you probably already know the mission, but you basically have to find Charles, who has been doing some street boxing, because he fell out pretty hard when the gang broke up, so he got involved into some shady shit for a man, I can't remember his name. I mean, he was mentioned a lot in Red Dead Online, but let's just say he was an associate of Angelo Bronte. We bail him out of the situation, You know, he finally has a reason to live beyond the shady ways. And on the way to his wagon by the pier, he gives us a lowdown of what's been going on. He shares that he buried Arthur and Miss Grimshaw in two completely separate locations. Supposedly he did this by himself. It never really explains where he if he never really made it clear if anyone was with him, but it sounded like he was carrying two like literal dead weight, like double the amount of dead weight, because again, we're dealing with two carcasses in two completely different locations. One in the northern part of Lemoyne by the river, like south of Roanoke, and another in Amberino, the far northern, the central northern part of New Hanover. So yeah, he really got around for some reason. But yeah, thanks to him, we know that we know exactly what happened to Strauss after he was after Arthur threw him out of camp. Yeah, it's I mean, it's nice that we have a conclusion to his character that doesn't make him look like the slime ball that we've all seen while he was at camp. But yeah, it seems very uncharacteristic, but I think maybe the writers just wanted to make sure he had a proper conclusion, unlike certain other characters like Karen Jones. Because more on this during the character ranking. Leopold Strauss did have a very sad upbringing. But yeah, another reason I like this mission is because you have to realize that you don't really want to go out of your way to go to Saint Denis in free roam, so you don't have to go straight to the pub. Like, you could pretty much do anything you want in free roam, whether it be going for a drink. At least I'm guessing you could go for a drink. I've actually never tried that. What I usually do is I like to inspect the plaque at the veterans home. Yeah, I mean, yes, to see Arthur Morgan's name, listen to John's reaction to that site. Oh, Arthur Morgan. Well, hello, friend. I mean, I realize that's not really a cutscene that everyone can experience, because not everyone donates $20 to that charity, but I mean, I personally always do. I'm not really I mean, whatever gets you off. I mean, if robbing someone or hog-tying someone in broad daylight in a big city tickles your fancy, then to each his own. To tell you the truth, I've done those things. I've done those things myself my first few playthroughs, so I understand the mentality. But yeah, another thing you can do is meet Tilly. Tilly Pierre, I think her marriage name is. But if you want the letter she sends you to spawn, you won't do that until after you get the furniture in the New Future Imagine mission. So, but I mean, it's still an option. You could do it. So yeah, and of course, to finish it off, we get some good action. You know, shooting up a bunch of gangsters and then fleeing the law with the most minimal effort I've ever seen in this game. They never even got close to us. And of course, you don't have to be the one to do the evading, since Charles Smith is the one on the reins. So, yeah. Of course, we know what the number one pick is, but this one's a pretty close second. So, yeah. It would have also been nice if you could stay in the area, you know, after the mission, but instead the game spawns you right back at Beechers Hope where you started. It's a little inconvenient, but otherwise, I mean, it's a pretty minor inconsistency compared to what we got out of the mission. So, moving on to what we all know the number one spot should rightfully be. And at number one, to absolutely no one's surprise, I'm sure, I've got American Venom. So, obviously this one is at the number one spot because you finally get to do something you wanted to do since the game first started, pretty much, and that's kill Micah Bell. Although, if I'm being honest, lately I feel like the death of Micah wasn't really as satisfying as it was meant to be. But more on that during my antagonist slash villain death ranking video in the distant future. But yeah. What else can I say? On the way to Strawberry to meet and interrogate Micah's old associate Cleet, they talk about what Charles and Sadie are gonna do. You know, Charles gonna try to find himself a family in Canada, and Sadie is looking into going south to South America, and basically doing the same thing there, but instead of just the traditional family, just wants to, you know, get with some handsome revolutionary. Her words, not mine. I mean, good on her, I guess. I mean, it's kind of a mind-blowing idea. I don't think it'll last, honestly, but especially since most revolutionaries are womanizers. But who am I to judge? Anyway, to me and pretty much everyone else, it's an obvious exposition to why they're not in the original game. But, yeah, whatever. I'm not complaining. It's a fulfilling enough explanation. Anyway, once you get to Valentine, you have to interrogate and hang Cleet. Well, I mean, at least you have to interrogate him. You don't necessarily have to hang him if he does somehow pull on your heartstrings, but it doesn't matter because Sadie will just shoot him anyway. And you get to look, and it makes you look weak in front of your associates. So, to each his own. If you don't want to do it, that's fine, but I always do it anyway. So, oh, and yeah, so after that, even though it's actually a pretty quick trip in free roam, the game likes to sell the illusion that it's a 2 to 3 day trip to the snowy mountains from Strawberry. So obviously another cinematic riding montage ensues afterwards, and then as soon as you get to that point, you are met with a sniper who manages to shoot Charles in the gut. He survives somehow, but at that point it's just you and Sadie to fight your way up to the mountain and find the correct camping spot that Micah's in, because there are multiple camping spots that Micah's gang are held up. And then about halfway through the journey, Sadie gets stabbed in the gut. Now, I'm no doctor, but I know for a fact that stab wounds are much worse than gunshot wounds. And gunshot wounds to the gut are the most painful kind. But, yeah, because with gunshots, they're way more treatable. Knives leave way more damage. So, I mean, the fact that she's still kicking and later fighting her way up to and later joining John joining John in the fight with Micah is a bit, the physics are a tad iffy, but can't really complain. So yeah, after as soon as John becomes a solo act, his other associate, along with 2 other random gang NPCs, they're you have to shoot them in yet another satisfying way in Deadeye. And to one of the best and to the sounds of one of the best orchestras in the game, you have to go in as a one-man army to shoot up a bunch of gang members, and it's pretty damn satisfying. So once all that's done, you and Micah are in a bit of a standoff before Sadie finally shows up, holds him at gunpoint, and does not shoot him. Like, why? Why are we doing it like this? I don't know. But yeah, so it leaves enough time for Dutch to make his dramatic entrance. And yeah, Micah, Dutch, and John, and Sadie, who at this point is still bleeding out again. It's amazing that she's still alive after losing so much blood, and the cold of the snowy mountains cannot be making it any better, her condition. But yeah, at this point, Micah has Sadie in a hostage situation, and the 3 are in a Mexican standoff. So yeah, in the most dramatic twist, Dutch shoots Micah after saying, "I'm afraid I ain't got too much to say no more," in response to what John said, which was, "Say something." And the best part, Deadeye is activated automatically, and you get to shoot where you want to shoot Micah. You can fire all 6 bullets in his nuts, which is something I've seen Strange Man do in multiple clips. And I've seen way more people shoot him in the head, fire all 6 rounds in his head, which is pretty ridiculous considering once you shoot him, the cinematic shot of him just taking a few steps forward and then just falling. So yeah, it's pretty amusing. I always go for multiple different spots of his vital organs. I usually try to sneak 1 bullet in his nuts. Any other amount beyond 1 is a bit overkill, since 1 shot is all you need to shoot off his nuts. But so yep, and as a bonus, the money from Blackwater that's been talked about throughout the entire story is also at camp with them. And John gets to take the money for himself. I'm not really sure why Dutch walked away after shooting him. He didn't want to take the money with him. And I'm also not really sure how Sadie knew that there was money in the cabin, since she knew about as much as I did. Maybe maybe it was from the same source that he found out where Cleet was. I don't know. I'm sure one of you people know how she found out, but you don't have to tell me. I'll figure it out if it's worth it. So yeah, after that the credits roll in the best way possible. Oof. Well, that's it for now, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry this video took so long to release. I've got another upload coming up today. I usually don't like to post 2 videos in the same day. I usually like to leave a bit of space. A bit of time in between each upload, but I feel like I've been doing plenty of that as it is. Plus, this video took so long, there was no way I was gonna finish making it before the 22nd. So it's actually the 22nd right now. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I've got 2 AI video projects coming along. One where well, no spoilers. So yeah, subscribe so you don't miss out on that. No idea when it's gonna be uploaded, but you can bet that it's going to be in the near future. So yeah, hopefully before the end of July. Again, make sure to like and subscribe, turn on post notifications, and if you want to see this series in its entirety, I'm talking about all 6 ranking videos, I will put the playlist of my tier list / ranking videos in the description. They're in there with a bunch of other tier lists and ranking videos that you can enjoy, so you're encouraged to check that out. And you can also check out the AI video that I was talking about before. Get some idea of what the next upload's gonna be, and just to entertain you further. So yeah, as always, Dr. Stephen James, same piece. Later, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this.